back to front. So we consulted with the technician at Scitech, and fortunately he was able to tell us how to invert the image with the setting on the remote. So yes, so now it's working, but it has to. You can't be on the stand up there at the moment. But we'll hope to get it done one of these days. It has to have six screws undone and a new set of six screws holes drilled for it, and the lower point. Anyway,
Okay.
So we're all set to go.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the saga of the projector.
Okay. Hi everybody. My name's William McKee, and tonight I'm going to tell you a bit about the Raspberry Pi computer, which I have set up here. I'm using it for my presentation tonight.
It's the latest model, I gather.
This is the latest model. This is the Raspberry Pi 2B. It was released earlier this year, but I'll go through the slides. Okay, so what this talk will cover, I'll go over a bit about the history of the Raspberry Pi, why they made it, that kind of stuff. The hardware, go through some of the history of its hardware, how it's developed over the time. In the software, I'll explain about some of the operating systems and programs in that the Raspberry Pi runs, and I'll talk about some of the uses that people do with it. So quite basic stuff. Won't get into too much technical stuff with it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. Okay, sales. So as of 18th of February 2015, the Raspberry Pi sold 5 million. Fastest selling British personal computer. It's the second. I thought you guys might be interested in that because Amstrad, because the club used to be the Amstrad club. So Amstrad. Yeah. So it's behind that, the Raspberry Pi in sales. Okay, so it was released in February 2012. It's 12 years ago, 3 years ago. We've got these are the prices released for them. So we've got the Model A, and then they brought out a Model A Plus, and you've got the Raspberry Pi 1 Model B that was $35, and then the B Plus was the same price, and then the Raspberry Pi 2B Model B. So they tend to keep the same price and just upgrade the hardware on them, and then the Commute module is $30. So very cheap prices for a computer, which meant they get them into third world countries and such, into schools and that. Okay, so upgrading hardware. So the Raspberry Pi A came with 256 RAM, and then so the A was it was a very stripped down version of the Raspberry Pi B. It only had 2 USBs it had 1 USB. A has 1 USB, while the B had 2 USBs, and it had half the amount of RAM. So yeah, the Raspberry Pi A was the upgrade from the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi A Plus was an upgrade from the A, and that had the new design. That had the same design as the Raspberry Pi B Plus, and that didn't have any Ethernet as well. So yeah. And then you have the Raspberry Pi B that had 512 RAM, 2 USBs, and bad power management. It used to have the really bad thing of if you plug a USB into it, it would reboot. It was horrible. But they got it fixed in the new design when they brought out the Raspberry Pi B Plus. That had also 512 RAM, but it had a new design. Instead of 2 USBs, we had 4 USB ports. And much better power management. It wasn't so fussy, which was wonderful. And then this year they released the Raspberry Pi 2B, and that had a whole gig of RAM and a 900 megahertz quad-core processor. Another thing to note that I haven't mentioned so far is the Raspberry Pi has an ARM processor, unlike Intel or AMD computers. With the Raspberry Pi 2B, it had the same design as the B Plus, but just upgraded hard specs. So it meant you could take cases and stuff from your old Raspberry Pis and use them with the new one. They also kept the same price, and that was just really awesome. There's also a Raspberry Pi Commute module that has 4 gigs of flash memory. It's used for like embedded projects and that. We're kind of waiting at the moment for Raspberry Pi 2i and a Raspberry Pi 2 Commute module. Hopefully there'll be an announcement maybe next year, early next year or something like that on one of them, maybe sooner. Okay, so why make the Raspberry Pi? I guess they made the Raspberry Pi because they were annoyed with high school students starting university with little to no computer science and programming knowledge. So they wanted to build something that kids could use from an early age, that they could code with, and I think they really succeeded in that. So it's the beginning of education. Oh, sorry, Roger.
So I was just going to say something that was so cheap that it's ruined by the
you just buy a new one. Yeah.
Well, the original one came with the outputs that you have in your TV.
It's got
RCA output. RCA outputs.
Okay.
They just plug it into the TV.
Yeah.
You don't need a monitor.
Yeah. You've got on the Raspberry Pi, they've got exposed GPIO, so that you can plug sensors and LEDs into it. That's what I've got running on this one here. You guys can have a look at some point. But I've got 16 by 16 LED lights running on here, 64 LEDs, and it's plugged into the GPIO, so I can control these lights with the Raspberry Pi. And I guess that's one of the very appealing things about it, is that you can control real life stuff with it. Just another thing to really note is that it has a micro SD card, so it's very silent, and there's no spinning parts, and it's very cheap to power.
How much power does it use?
It's 5 watts to 2 amp for the Raspberry Pi 2B.
Did you say 2 amps?
2 amps.
And that's mainly used for USB ports, isn't it?
Yeah. So OpenELK is one of the operating systems that run on the Raspberry Pi. It's got Kodi embedded inside of it, which is formerly XBMC. So it's perfect for your home entertainment system. What you can do is you could just set this up. Let's plug. Oh, got to carry on. Plug and play. You can choose a range of different programs. Like if you want to watch streaming stuff, you could browse through, and these are a few that you can choose from. Hey, have a seat. Sit back here. There's a range that you can choose from, including YouTube, South Park, Sci-Fi, and NASA. Al Jazeera is another one. You can also just use it to play your local media as well, and media over the network. So yeah, it's very popular for people just buying Pis just to use as media centers. Another operating system, which is the main operating system used, is Raspbian. Is Debian optimized for the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi Foundation, the other guys that created Raspberry Pi, they forked, it was the ARM Hardfloat Debian Weasel, and developed it from there. And Debian recommend actually using Raspbian rather than the ARM Hardfloat that Debian offer. Yeah, so the desktop environment is LXDE. This actually, what I'm running at the moment is actually Raspbian, so this is the LXDE desktop here. But you're able to install other operating systems and do everything you can do with a normal Debian install. So yeah, it's currently a fork of Debian Wheezy, but they're looking at GC in the future. So this is I guess the example of using it as a desktop computer, and I might do a media center demo later. Some other operating systems include Fedora, which is the Fedora, Arch Linux, RISC OS, and Microsoft earlier this year announced Windows 10 support for Raspberry Pi. They've announced some details about that, such as the Raspberry Pi just acts as a slave for the Windows computer. Like, all you do is boot up your Windows computer, you load your stuff onto the Pi, and it just does stuff. They haven't actually developed a GUI or a command line or anything like that. It's just
no operating system.
It's just a slave.
Yeah.
Huh?
So really it's not much use.
I don't know. Maybe if you're a big Windows fanboy, it'd be fine.
What about
For embedded,
Windows 10 phone? Would that work?
not at the moment. Although they have gotten older versions of Windows running on the Raspberry Pi. There's been reports of 95, maybe, I don't know, really early versions of Windows kind of running on it. So you could give it a go, especially with the new Pi running a whole gig of RAM. You can it kind of has the specs. Well, the old one before February this year, it kind of 512 RAM. It was more of a toy. With a whole gig of RAM, you can it gives it that more.
Yeah, we could run XP on it.
Yeah, you could actually have a go. Like, I'd love to see it. Okay, so some uses. You can play retro video games. They've developed, it's called Emulation Station. You can install that inside the Raspberry Pi, and install that and play. I used to play PlayStation 1 games on my old Pi, and that was before I got the 2B. So I imagine the 2B will be much more powerful to play video games. The PlayStation 1 games, they were a bit jerky and stuff unless you overclocked your Raspberry Pi. And software development machine, I guess that's kind of one of the primary uses for it is it comes with a lot of programming software out of the box. Python, has Python here, and it comes with Scratch and Sonic Pi, which are all kind of programming related.
They're the ones that the education use for
Yeah.
teaching kids.
Yeah, teaching kids. So it also
Beginners.
yeah, especially Scratch is great for beginners because it's kind of drag and drop stuff. And
The Arduino ice to the top, that's if you also got an Arduino computer, you prepare the software on this thing.
yeah, you can copy it, you can compile it on here, like plug your Arduino into the Pi and compile it and send it across to the Arduino. They can communicate with each other. I've installed that additionally on this. It doesn't come default, but yeah, of course you can install it. Office computer, so you can install your Open Office in there. I just don't know if I've got installed on here. May not have.
Great thing
You
being,
could just use text to do that. There you go.
being a Linux operating system, you can install all sorts of
Yeah,
things,
like
can't you?
like I said before, since it's just Debian based, you have access to the APT. Get you to the repositories. You can just get anything you get on a standard Debian. So design a computer. Yes, wow. Got a GIMP here. Previously, before the Raspberry Pi 2B, it didn't run GIMP very well, but I can actually do successful digital painting with it, which I'm very happy about, because what it's meant is the Raspberry Pi is actually my main desktop machine. I can get rid of my desktop now, because what I used to do would be sit in my room with my desktop computer, but now I can just do it with the Raspberry Pi, and the Raspberry Pi is so portable because I can plug monitors into it and take it wherever I go. It's wonderful. So I guess actually open recent. Let's see what I've got. I might not be able to open these because let's see. So yeah, here's one of my digital paintings that I've done on the Pi in the past. So yeah, great for that. Audio player. You could use it headlessly. Like, you could get it so that when it boots up, it just starts playing music for you. You could get it to automatically down podcasts and stuff like that. So wonderful for maybe blind people that just need something that's more portable, and it starts up and it just plays their music, plays their podcasts and stuff like that. You can of course install Pandora and music streaming services, or just play music off locally. Video player, it plays YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Web server, Raspberry Pis make great web servers.
What do you use as your web browser?
On here I've got Chromium running. By default it is it's this. This is the default one it came with. They've really improved the desktop over time. It used to come with a really poor browser, but the browsers are getting better. But I still prefer to install Chromium. I think it's a great browser for it. I'll open this default one though. So yeah, I guess that's the end of my slideshows, but if we have any questions or discussions, and I could do some more demos. I haven't got XBMC running on here, but I could plug my laptop in and show you the media center that the Raspberry Pi runs. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's no problem. Was there anything more that people wanted to see on the Pi before I shut it? I could try and do it.
What about video? Can I play the video?
Yeah.
YouTube one saying there.
Yeah, I've even got some files. I've got some files on my desktop. I think I've got some of my painting videos, I believe. So here I'll install XBMC on here. See how it runs. It usually runs best if you can
VLC.
yeah, VLC. No, it's not that. See if that one was that. In the past, I found Raspberry not to play. Oh yeah, it's playing. Don't know how well it will play. like in the past I found it to play very poorly. And but yeah, that's another thing I used to do would be capture my desktop. So I used to use a program called Record My Desktop. That's actually a Python script I wrote for it that would do my file names and everything all properly for me. So yeah, I just run that script and it just records my desktop, and then I just cancel it and it stops. It's not going to play though. You can see if this works though.
So could you talk us through what it's doing?
At the moment, it's just installing XBMC, so it's unpacking it at the moment.
What sort of hard drive have you got on here?
I've just got a 8 gig SD card. Yeah.
So you said that, yeah.
Yeah.
Does the SD card have to be a certain speed to get good performance?
No, you can. There's a couple of types that they recommend. I think it's something else. It's whatever's good with FAT32, because you format it to FAT32, and what you do is you usually they've released something called Noobs, which is new out of the box software or something. I can't remember. What that does is it allows you to, when you boot it up, it will ask you like what operating systems you want installed, so you can choose to install a bunch of operating systems alongside each other. So you can install like Raspberry and Arch Linux and OpenELK all together, so that when you boot up, it will ask you what operating system you want to boot up.
Okay.
So or you could just go ahead and just install Raspberry on it. But I'm a big fan of Noob, so I really like it. It's great for beginners, because it does mean like if you screw your Pi up and when you reboot it, you can just hold Shift and restore it. So yeah, great for kids. Like if they break their Pi and they will just want to just restore it all, they just need to reboot and hold Shift and just reinstall the operating system.
Yeah, I didn't hear, what was this operating system that you could reboot?
Noobs, Noobs, new out of the box software. So yeah.
And physically, how do you connect it to the internet? You find it external modem?
No, you can. It's got Ethernet, so you can plug just the Ethernet cable into it. It also supports Wi-Fi. If you plugged in a Wi-Fi dongle into it, it doesn't. One thing it doesn't have is it doesn't have built-in Wi-Fi, and it doesn't have a built-in clock either. So it can't keep track of time when it's turned off. But you can buy all these things.
But presumably, if you boot it up, you can set the clock right.
Yeah, if you boot it up and keep it booted up, it will keep the time correct. But if it switches off, the time will. Yeah, it will go wrong.
Yeah.
So can it get the time off the internet when it boots up?
Yeah, good say, yeah.
Of course you do. The file creation dates. Times.
It's Sonic Pi. Oh, I don't know if Sonic Pi will run. Oh, so that's the PlayStation emulator, Sony PlayStation emulator. Comes with a file browser. It's just the standard LXDE kind of file browser. Yeah.
Basic, but it works.
Basic, but it works. Of course, you can just use a terminal as well. It comes with this image magic for the displaying images. What is this?
That displays a whole lot of file formats, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That was the one I was talking to you about, Harold.
Task manager comes with that, and the same with the PDF calculator comes with that. Wonder how it's getting on with the XPMC. Yeah, it's done.
Can you load it with Audacity?
Audacity.
Oh, I think it's Windows only.
Audacity's available for Linux too.
No, okay, we'll run there.
That install. Why isn't it installed? I don't know.
That's an edit password on the sudo.
I think I've disabled it actually.
Well, if it's in your pocket.
Yeah. Oh, I don't. Should I swap to my laptop for show XPMC because it's not working?
Alright.
Anything else?
Yeah. Is there any more questions about the Raspberry Pi?
Is there anything else before you swap?
Before I, yeah.
Anything particularly interesting?
Let's see, this recognizes the USB to serial converter.
USB to serial. Oh, yeah.
What are you expecting it to say, Tom?
If it says USB connected, it should be something like PL203. That's the manufacturer. And this is the machine. Whoops.
So
You plugged it in.
I plugged it in.
If you do it LS USB.
Yep. Is it that bottom one?
PL2303.
Yeah.
Really? That's it.
So it's recognizing it.
Yep. And then
We can plug that in.
and just start Minicom.
Okay.
This is your end. And this is my end. So set the Minicom to 9600. Just be on the safe side.
Doesn't it have automatic speed
20
detection?
years old.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Made in the UK when they were still very ingenious.
So what would I do on here?
Just start Minicom.
What do I type? This
Minicom
Minicom. See how
with a C. Yeah.
this
Command. Oh, you haven't got it.
Should I try to install?
Yep. And you have to set the port there. Yeah. Now this is. It's got not Windows. It's got this operating system, all in ROM, and it's got 2 kilobytes of RAM.
See, it's huge. 420 kilobytes.
No, no, I
The
think
fiber's
two
going to struggle
megabytes.
with that.
So that's all there is.
No space left on disk. Oh, I guess that's why they didn't install XPMC. It's my hard drive.
But yeah, actually stop you.
Better uninstall the XPMC.
I probably need to clean this up.
I'm going to use it.
Really
Minicom. Yeah. If you run Minicom,
You are.
Isn't it embarrassing?
Minicom-S, just to
It's
set
not-
it up.
I'll try and order. I need to I need to remove something.
Oh, no,
I'll
it's-
remove GIMP.
Okay.
What about the XPMC saying it doesn't run it anyway?
I didn't think it installed. I think that's why I was having problems there. How we remove things. Easy.
As long as it's 2 batteries.
It's still with that here.
Unbelievable.
No space.
Pardon? If it is a dinosaur.
See, I'm not going to bother. I'll switch to the laptop and just quickly give you guys a demo of the.
Okay.
With Windows 95. Just for the hell of it, you know, put that
Windows
on.
95 didn't work.
Yeah.
I can run Windows 95 on the Mac because the Mac does all the USB and the communications.
I'll give you this.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry,
Yeah,
we can have a look on Saturday.
It should theoretically should work. Yeah.
Actually,
One with the LED lights.
because,
I use that because it's so nice and portable, and it depends on
Yes,
doesn't start. Database. Let's look for.
I can't see a thing.
It hasn't got a backline. That died a while ago.
that was US.
Found not all of it.
Works out about
Anywhere.
something like 80 at the moment.
Hang on,
It's got a
you can
really,
phone from this thing.
it's, it's got the telephone signal there, so if I tell it to phone, it's got a speaker, it'll go beep, 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 beep. Yeah, the mic's in front and it will dial it. The dial tones are free.
So where's the feed you
Oh,
put in
use a
here?
whole lot of power on
The microphone,
No, the feed.
It's so slow to start up. It's not a solid state.
running,
you can only connect using the dial-up mode. Because that's what they have there. Yeah. If you want to be on the internet,
So what about international?
you'd have to find something, and the Americans have built it. A simulator that uses broadband and allows you to dial up. So you plug that into the modem, and it behaves like a dial-up modem, a lot faster, but this machine actually converts it to broadband. So it's not totally lost.
Okay, so why am I using one of these, like voice too? And that's what I super.
There it goes. Arrow now.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the most cheapest one.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Oh, this is only, that's a feature. If you don't
Red Hat's
dial
obsessed
something,
with that, aren't they? It's actually quite a pretty desktop, really.
In other words, are you siphoning the signal from the international grid?
Yeah, no, this is my address book, and I copy that to the PC.
So why do you
Yeah,
have to look at the
things.
bottom?
Because you still
It's right
signal,
on the screen.
you gotta pay for
Yeah, I
that.
don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you need voice too, but
I should mirror the display.
The funny thing is this lasted for ages because telephone was good old telecom, CDMA phones, and there's nothing wrong with it. But, telephone decided
I'm going to mirror the
that,
display.
That's
Yeah, I
it.
was going to say you might need to push the book
No
up
dialogue.
a little, bring it down a touch.
Oh, that'd be okay. I'll just leave it.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's dial-up totally out.
There are a few, that's funny, a few ISPs that still offer it. It costs more. You have to pay them $10.
Yes.
I think Telecom offers
It's
a
a brilliant
dial-up.
solution. Yeah.
And don't forget, there are quite a few people in rural areas.
so it's not, it's
Between
two screens and the mirror.
There's a station called Erewhon,
It's not popping up with mirror details, so I'm just opening Xtreme C.
and
Hope it.
they're serving mode.
I guess-
They're quite happy with the cable routes.
How can I?
Well, it's probably back in the
This
1840s,
display.
when Captain Cook just landed on the
show me
shore.
from
right?
Yeah.
I want to
they
drag it to the
have,
second screen.
satellite, but satellites are not, okay, that's a solution for them. But they don't use dial-up modems. 90% of the rural people in America are on dial-up.
I know, I still know people in this country on dial-up, much to their protest. It took away the
I don't know, like it's display settings for like changing stuff
not
popping up.
rural,
Yeah.
you know,
Usually they have one of them, function and one of those.
Latency. Yeah.
Function
But if it's sent email, you'll see
Oh yeah, this is
But
better.
that's all you do, on dial-up, or, enough for you.
Toggle primary screen.
well, maybe they make these
Toggle primary up.
I've kept all my, all two.
One day,
dial-up
you
modems.
can do.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the computer. download on this, and when I open it up on here, it should work. I'll just exit and on
Yeah.
this one, and then open it up on here, and it should open.
I only used only once when it didn't know it when
Oh,
it's
and I need some
somewhere.
internet.
Oh,
That was said, okay, use it 3 times, and something goes to the problem. Will fix the problem. And it, you wouldn't believe it, Apple has got an option to fix the phone.
this one is particular Apple.
Tick the box and you can download. Beep, 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 beep.
I'm a bit of a European mindset. You must find the best person. You don't have to cover the breakdowns.
Apple gets it right mostly.
You get it right.
Yeah. And they're like Singapore. They're good people.
Okay guys, I've got Kodi running. This is exactly how it looks on the Raspberry Pi. Like if you were to install OpenELK and boot it up, this is what you would get. So you've got pictures, videos, music, programs, and system. Sorry, it's a bit over the right of the screen there, but it's okay. Videos is mainly what I use. So you can browse files on your own computer, and you can also do add-ons. So I've got a couple of add-ons already. I've got Al Jazeera and YouTube here, so we'll see if this works. Let's see if we can get some live Al Jazeera. Of course, you can use remotes, Xbox controllers. There we go.
I did bring my speakers with you.
It doesn't matter. It's fine.
China's melting down.
So you can also use YouTube. You can sign into your YouTube. You can check the copy right now. This wasn't working before. Yeah, YouTube's not working. It's okay. So you can browse a list of all these other programs that you can, add-ons that you can get. Some good ones. Yeah, there's a huge range of add-ons that you can choose from.
Is that the naked one?
Shove the second window over.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother.
Fox News. So what are you going to look at?
Yeah, you can get Fox News. They don't have a live thing, unfortunately. Also, yeah, you can get NASA. NASA's pretty good. Khan Academy.
In the United States, individual investors are less than half. Here it's 85%. It's 90 million people out there investing.
Use NASA. We'll install NASA. So it's really easy to install add-ons. You can just hit install, and it just takes a minute to install. And it just shows up here. So then we can click into it, and we can see the live stream. I've got a few live streams. See if
That's
NASA.
high definition.
It may not work, it may not.
I'm enjoying my Dutch TV so
So you get
Yes,
quite a bit.
it's okay.
some
So you can also get files. You can add files. So we can browse folders and that for stuff. I know he's got a music one. It didn't work here.
You're supposed to be showing the stuff that works.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't tested this. There's no movies on here. Oh, there it goes. So playing off local files here. So yeah. And of course you can also play off network as well.
My name is Max. The world is fire and blood.
Music. they've got add-ons for music as well. So if you just wanted to listen to music, there's a bunch. Grooveshark XBMC. Pandora. They offer Pandora. Yeah. Anyway, I think that'll do. Hopefully that's a bit of insight into the Raspberry Pi and XBMC and Raspberry. Any questions?
I was going to say, one of the Linux Club guys was using it to monitor his brewing, his home brewing system, and so it controlled the temperature and all that. And